Hi everyone, this is Sunit, and in this video I would like to expand on a post I made in relation to stress. For some time in my life, I used to be working literally 24/7, always on the go, um, in terms of always experiencing this anxious, stressful rush to get things done and everything done as fast and as quick and as effective as possible. I mean, even in moments where I would spend time with the pups or, do something different other than work or, just go for a walk on the farm or do any other activity, I'd still be thinking and stressing and being anxious and fearful about all sorts of things that, need to get done, that need to get going. And, my head was constantly and continuously cycling in thoughts and emotions and experiences in relation to work and things like that. I mean, it wasn't so much conscious in the sense of, um, shall I say, as severe as, I'm expressing it right now. It was more subtle, like in the background, but, in time, consequences comes through in your experience of yourself and your body, where you get restless, sleepless nights. You can't really, get a good night's sleep. You wake up in the mornings tired. Try and get yourself through the day with coffee, lots of coffee, until eventually, as I mentioned in my post, the link will be provided in the description box below. As I realized, all right, I have to, in the moments that I have with myself, really let go and slow down and just step back and step out of, the work environment, the things that I'm looking at and going through and things like that. There's just that moment that I need to allow myself to stop, step back. And it's not a long time that's needed. Sometimes I found just like 5, 10 minutes, go for a walk, get outside, play with the pups. But in that time, really being there with the pups or really being there just with myself, and the walk, not thinking or, experiencing or going through anything else, but focus my awareness on where I am, my environment, what I'm doing. And then I found from there, sometimes it was 5 minutes, sometimes 25 minutes, where I would take at least twice a day, just play with the pups for 20, 30 minutes. Other times, if I really don't have the time, I'll play with them once a day. But then, also in moments in the day, just take a moment where I would, for example, usually make a coffee and then I would drink it while I'm working. But now I would take the time of making the coffee and then sitting outside, and drinking that coffee. And then it's just me and the coffee and, that experience, that moment away from work, taking a couple of minutes, throughout my day to just get a pause, just take a step back. And it was fascinating because practicing that in itself also took some time. Practicing remembering, for me to take a moment, take a breath. Sometimes I would even, I'm fortunate enough in relation to the type of work I do that's mostly internet based, that I would just go and lie on my bed, for literally a minute or two and just breathe, just let go. And those quiet moments, if you will, where I place my awareness on me, what I'm doing, my experience, just also doing something different for a couple of minutes, a couple of moments, really assisted and supported me to slow down mentally and physically, to not be in that constant stress and anxiety and just those movements that's within you that almost says, gotta go, gotta get done, gotta get things moving, that experience. And again, I'm more exaggerating a bit, so that you can maybe relate to it, but it wasn't so consciously obvious. It was like this undercurrent of energy, within my body the whole time moving. Almost like there was fire being made, inside my body, and it's like going, hey, you've got to get moving, because if you're going to slow down, you're going to get burned, type thing. So what opened up from all of this is the difference between constructive stress and destructive stress. Meaning constructive stress for me is, look, sometimes, things happen where a deadline is needed, and things need to get done fast, get going, get moving, got to source a lot of information and people and things like that. And, sometimes you are placed in that position of, being stressed in the sense of, really having to get moving, get going, and you can just see how much time you have or how little time you have and how much needs to get done. When such things happen now, every now and then, I allow myself to use that stress, if you will, that experience of, okay, let's get going, let's get moving, let's get it done. It's like a start of an engine, that's just going and you're speeding off for a moment, but you're kind of in control of that stress in the way that, yes, you'll go into it and use it for the moment to get you moving, get you motivated, and get you through a couple of days. But in relation to that relationship to stress, you then equally as being able to use it, you can also equally be able to let it go. And this type of stress, I wouldn't so much call it stress, as much as you do in a way go into a fight or flight mode, of that adrenaline rush of time and things that need to get done, and the people that you need to source and the resources that you need. And but it's not like a panicked stress, it's just okay, let's get all the engines up and running, let's get going, let's drive, let's drive. But, this type of stress that you're aware of and you use, you don't go so much into a panic or an anxiety or a fear or anything like that. It's like this force within you, that comes up and that you use to drive you and to motivate you and get things done. And, during that whole process, you also don't go through like emotional ups and downs or things like that. And, once that phase is done, you can just take a breath, let it go, and okay, it's done. And then return to a more calm and stable form of expression. Others might realize you don't even need to use stress constructively, where if the stress comes, but if that stress comes with anxiety and fears and frustrations and emotions and panics and, sleepless, restless nights, there you can rather practice the breathing, stabilizing, calming down whenever you feel or experience, that stress is coming up. Because in a way, that type of stress is actually going to compromise your mental state, your physical experience even more, and actually make it much more harder to concentrate, to focus, to pay attention, and really get things done quickly as well as effectively. So it's like you have to assess, your relationship to stress. I've met a couple of people who are in pressure situations, and then they use that stressful drive or motivation to, get things done and get things moving. But, when it's time to relax, they'll relax. And then when it's time to move, they'll move. So it's more like a fast-paced quantum movement that happens within them. And then they're actually more alert, more alive, more focused, more attentive. They move, get things done. So maybe we should actually redefine that constructive stress into an inner self-movement, a self-drive, a self-motivation. It's maybe better to use those words, not so that in your mind you get confused with constructive stress and destructive stress, because our minds have kind of locked into a definition of what stress is, So it might be easier to look at a redefinition of the word stress, the constructive stress, to a self-drive, a self-motivation, self-movement within that you keep going, keep your focus, attention, discipline in relation to the things that need to get done. But at the same time, you're also very much aware of the moments that you need to slow down, step back, and let go. All right, so here then a insight and perspective in relation to how to use stress, meaning that inner drive, movement, and motivation constructively, and yet still also being able to engage it but let it go. And how to, if you are in a destructive stress cycle, how to assist and support yourself to get out of it, to step back, to let go. Because oftentimes, in the mind, we tend to cycle in things over and over and over again. And it's just those moments where you take a break, but genuinely take a break, that stop these cycles in the mind and the body from continuing over and over and over again, that can eventually lead to burnout. All right. Thank you very much.